bump, 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 bang, 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 bang. Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, what's up? What's we doing? What's we popping with? How we doing on a Friday? People be getting off work right now on the East Coast. Oof. People on the West Coast probably getting off work too. I worked, listen to this. I worked 3 months on the West Coast. I think it was like 10 weeks internship near the San Francisco Bay Area. Them motherfuckers get into work at 10 a.m. They leave at 1 p.m., right? There ain't no working going on there, right? They get in, they get out, they realize that, hey, yo, we ain't got to be here. We got to be, it's nice, it's fucking, we are not staying inside, it is nice outside. The East Coast people, especially the Northeast, right, fellow New Yorker myself, born and raised in the Northeast, those people, they're scared of the cold. They just stay inside and refresh emails for 6 hours a day instead of going out in the cold. Like, I mean, I can't blame them to some extent. Man, it's rough out there in the streets. What's we doing? What's he doing on a 10-game slate? What's he doing on a 6-game MLB slate? Sal said the words MLB, the letters MLB. Yeah. Yeah, we got some MLB projections over on the Patreon. I mean, a pretty massive run total for the fucking Dodgers today. What else is new? Get used to that. Yankees, Dodgers, get used to that. Mr. Trevor Bauer, 7.5 implied run total, 2.5 more than anybody else. Yeah, it's some baseball talk for you. Might be enough. Might be enough for today. How y'all doing? Happy Easter, says John. Thank you. Happy Easter to you as well. Finished putting my girlfriend's Easter basket. Really proud of it. Put some good work into that. $100 Ruskies or so. Built that bad boy up. It's fun. Got a nice little brunch set up for Sunday. Maybe dye some eggs tomorrow. I'm all about traditions. I'm all about diving deep into the holidays. Look, you can't be a Scrooge. You only live once. You got to enjoy these times. So I'm 24 years old. I'm fucking dyeing Easter eggs tomorrow with my 24-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing that shit. Yeah. We're going to be doing probably an Easter egg hunt on Sunday morning. I don't give a shit. I'll be 35 and I'll be doing Easter egg hunts. I'll be dressing up for Halloween. You only live once. Stay a kid, right? You get to control your mind. Have that fun. Do what you got to do. People out there like this fucking guy. Salvatore. We got Ryan giving me a different way to spell my name. Go. Headed into work right now, says Evan. My man Evan. Headed into work on a Friday afternoon. What you doing, man? Shmoney Tom, we definitely need you today, homie. Yesterday was a good day. I'm here for a good time, not a long. Today was a good day. I ain't had to kill nobody. Today was a real good day. Yesterday was as well. Hope you're having a great day, Sal. Let's get it. Kyle, let's get it. Top 2 center plays on today's slate. So you can see some of the news behind me. We obviously got some big news on Atlanta. There's the updated minutes for Atlanta on the screen. I will take out of this Gallo so we can start to pile up some more of those Atlanta minutes. But yeah, my top 2 center plays as it stands right now, Robert Williams, and if you wanted to pump with Jackson Hayes, otherwise it's kind of this grouping of Robert Williams, Adams, Capella, and Chris Boucher. Or kind of a grouping. If I had to pick 2, I'd probably give it right now the way the slate stands with Clint Capella and Robert Williams. But it's like a group of 4 that are really close today. What do you have Patrick Williams projected for today? Probably nothing great. Patrick Williams for 18.4 fantasy points at $4,400. It looks real bad. What do you think about Cat today? I think he's fine. It's just that there's so many good center plays now. I mean, right? Capella looks more secure. Robert Williams looks fine today. Steven Adams looks actually like he's in play today. So there's just so many better center options that, like, when you're looking to pay up today, if you're looking to pay up today, it's hard to not look at Giannis instead of a Cat, right? But that being said, a lack of pay-up options. Steph Curry now out. Trae Young now out. Zion now out. Sabonis probably a little bit expensive. Randall a little bit expensive. Lillard a little bit expensive. So now you're just kind of stuck with Luka, Towns, and Giannis. And Luka's been struggling. Towns has been pretty decent into good. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine for Towns. Low ownership will be there because of all the other guys. I still prefer Giannis. Towns would be my second favorite pay-up option. If we're talking about guys at $9,000 and above, I would right now rank it Giannis, Towns, Vooch, and then Luka is the way that I would go about it. What team would be better for 3-man stack? What team do I think would be better for a 3-man stack today? The Pelicans or Atlanta? The Pelicans. The Pelicans for me. Fellas, Riley, yeah. If you don't know now, you know. We got hoodies, we got t-shirts in the merch store, the Big Energy merch store down below. You can check it out. Keep yourself warm. Keep yourself warm this summer. Keep yourself warm this summer with these hoodies. How about that? Will McNeil says, haven't seen you since NFL season. Just checking in on the homie. What's good? Will, what's going on, boss man? Yeah, we've been here every single day. Where you been? I get it. You're not into NFL as much. MLB's here. We got the Masters next week. It's a fun time for sports. Obviously no NFL, but still a fun time with sports with MLB starting, the Masters, MMA returning next week. Some big events obviously coming up with MMA as they get crowds back, and NBA every day. Hit big the last 2 games. Let's get this Easter bread, fellas. We love it. We love it, JB. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, Sal, let me know your best 2 plays for the power play on Prize Picks. I didn't even look at Prize Picks yet today, so we'll go through that as we go through that. Usually I look at it before the show. I haven't looked at it. Superdraft is sponsoring this show, but I haven't looked at it since the morning 8 props where I ended up getting in those 2 props that we talked about in the morning video. But I haven't looked at it yet today. Been a busy day. Been buying a car today, buying a used car. Never buy new. Why do that? I mean, unless you got millions to just blow. Do people actually enjoy watching baseball? I mean, like therapeutic-wise, to actually sit there and watch baseball for entertainment, I don't know how you do. To have it on in the background as like you're cooking or you're doing work or reading, yeah, I think that's fine. But to like actually sit there and like look at the TV the whole time for 2.5, 3 hours, brutal, just brutal. I live in the Bay Area, born and raised in the Bay. Love to hear that, Zay. Love to hear that. I got to work at 5 a.m. though. Yeah, I used to work at 5 a.m. when I was in California, and more so like 6 actually. And then I would leave by noon. Sal fucking Venture, what's up? Dollarooski Dozen today, boy. What's going on, boss man? So yeah, we have the updated Dollarooski Dozen. Let's start to get into some things here. Let's pull up the optimizer. I saw a lot of people sign up with the new month coming in. A lot of people sign up over on Patreon, taking advantage of the optimizer, the most that we've had in the NBA priority ever. So growing by the month, you love to see it. Let's go with 3 uniques. Let's go with 4 from a team. And let's just build these lineups out to begin with, like we usually do, with no randomness. And let's see what the lineup optimizer is going to give us as like your quote unquote cash, spit it out, guy. Your cash plays today, right? As we start to try and get through this slate, start there and see what the optimals look like. Happy Passover. The updated Dollarooski Dozen. Let me pull up some other minutes from some teams that have a lot of guys out. No Josh Hart now for New Orleans, along with the other 3 big guys. So we'll pull up New Orleans minutes as they're going to be all wonky. My top 12 plays today, they're probably going to come from 2 or 3 teams. Top 12 plays as it stands right now. James Johnson, Kyrie Lewis Jr., Eric Bledsoe, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. What do those guys have in common? They all play for the same motherfucking team. Robert Williams. Okay, a little bit different. Kevin Huerter. I'm only going to include my yeses. There's some guys in here that are punt options like Jackson Hayes and Wes Iwundu, but Kevin Huerter 6. Bogdanovich 7. Pascal Siakam 8. Then there's a couple of other maybes like Brandon Goodwin, Steven Adams, and Lou. Number 9, Capella. Number 10, Chris Boucher. Number 11, Fred VanVleet. Number 12, Dennis Smith Jr. There's other guys above those guys that I did not mention. They're not yeses for me, though. Look at how big those hands look when we get real up there and close. We get real up close and personal by the camera. We're looking big. We're looking Sasquatch. Oh, we're looking Sasquatch. We love Sal Vetri, says Dominate. That's too kind, my man. That's too kind. I'm here for the Dollarooski, says Christopher. Oof, you're going to get him. We're going to get him. Seth with 100. What's up? Sal's going to do an Easter egg hunt with Sal Jr. Yeah, we can't wait. Keep going. Yeah. Easter is a man-made holiday. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It says grand attraction. Draymond or Trez today? That's a good question. Between Draymond and Trez, I currently will go. They're neck and neck in my rankings. If I had to pick one right now, I'll go with Draymond. Trez just, if he comes off the bench again, there's a little bit more uncertainty what the minutes can be, where we know Draymond's going to be starting today. Obviously, Wiseman's in there, so assist percentage is now hurt with no Steph. Rebounding rate with Wiseman in there, not as ideal, but I'll go with Draymond if I had to pick one. I thought Capella is out. Capella is not out. You have Trae Young out, and you have Gallinari out. Can you put in order your Pelican interests today? Yes, James Johnson, Lewis Jr., Bledsoe, Alexander Walker, Adams, punting with Iwundu. Those would be the 6 in order, and then punting with Hayes is 7. Josh says, prize picks today. Yeah, we can get into it. I haven't made any prize picks outside of the one that I made in the morning today. Did not go ahead and look at it yet, but I'll probably look at it later. We still got time. We'll talk about that in a second. Huerter or Bogdanovich today? Give me Bogdanovich. Both look good, though. Both are guesses for me. Single entry tournaments. Way to the top without 10K studs. The optimizer is saying lower in the 5 to 6 lineups. I don't know what that means, my man. You're going to have to reword that. I honestly could not understand what that meant. So that build it out. Where's the Dollarooski Dozen? Just said it, my man. Update Dollarooski Dozen. Hopefully you were in here when we just said it. I think you were. So how you doing? How you doing, Chase? Is Alexander Walker a lock on DK? Not a lock, no. Because there's so many other good plays in that range. Like, Alexander Walker is not even my number 1 play. He's not my number 2 play. He's not my number 3 play. He would be my number 4 play, though. But Alexander Walker is not a lock today. No. Factoring in ownership, factoring in all the other strong options from other teams. Is he a really good play? Yes. Is he a lock? No. Somebody says fade new cars. Definitely. Smart. The best Celtic other than Robert Williams today for you. The best Celtic other than Robert Williams today. I only have interest in Robert Williams. But I could tell you my next favorite option would be, if I had to pick a next favorite option, it would be, yeah, I guess Marcus Smart. Like Grant Williams projects out for 15 points. We're not playing that as a punt. So I guess it would be Smart, but I don't have any other interests. What'd you buy? Great to be here in the live stream with you, Sal. Thanks. 2017 used Kia Optima. 30,000 miles. As long as everything goes through in terms of the application, we should be good. Paid straight cash, homie. But yeah, I just wanted something reliable, somewhat sporty. I honestly don't give a shit about brands, to be honest with you. So whatever first popped up is a great deal, and that's what it was. Looking at a couple others, and that was the one to take the cake. Alrighty, let's get into some of these lineups. We got to increase randomness on this shit. Yeah, let's increase randomness on this shit. Let's let this build now with some randomness. Oh, accidentally popped it away. And we'll go with that. So max from a team, I'm putting 4. I probably won't roll with that, though, because we're going to get too many Pelicans, to be honest with you. So let's put 3. Let me refresh this, though, because I updated the projection. So let's try and build it out with no rules first, right? So no rules. Let's just build 20 lineups and see what happens. No uniques, nothing like that. We'll see what it builds us. Going to break the losing streak today. Hope you're doing well. So thank you for the content. Let's break it. Let's break it. Baseball is good ASMR. That's fair. Go sell Giannis and Anunoby or Cat and Siakam. Give me Cat and Siakam there. Towns is going to score 70 points against Memphis. They're weak. All right. There we go. There we go. Optimal lineups. Let's get it. Somebody says. Yeah, optimal lineups all the way. So, I mean, these are cash-based lineups. So, this is what you're going to be getting as some of the highest owned lineups tonight. Highest owned lineups, but also very fine for cash. It makes sense. Go to New Orleans, go to Toronto, fill it out with Atlanta, and then Giannis and Robert Williams look really good. I mean, this is going to be like the highest owned guys in the slate. This is going to be showing you, so just so people don't lose their minds right now in the chat, this is showing you a no randomness, a no rules in place, just what you get if you optimize for my projections, and this is what you start to get. So these will be cash builds, right? Or potential cash builds. You get up to a pay-up option. You have a lot of other strong mid-range options in there. Now, all these guys are going to be decently highly owned, but that is the point of what we're trying to do here. I'm trying to start at a spot and show you how you can get to different spots. So you can see a lot of similar players are going to be in here. Makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. Can continue to scroll across here. More and more you're going to continue to see people, right? So now we can start to add some randomness. So let's start to add, go 30% randomness, 3 uniques, and we'll limit it to 3 from a team here. And let's build out some more lineups. Let that go into the background. You know what they say about it? Man with big hands, big gloves. Who the hell is Wenyen Gabriel? Exactly. I think he used to be on Chicago. Maybe I'm wrong. What do we got? What do we got? A good power forward on DraftKings tonight. Give me a salary range, right? Because if you're just going to say a good power forward, I mean, I'm just going to say James Johnson. I'm going to say James Johnson as the best play in the slate. I don't care what his ownership is tonight. Yesterday, I was a little bit weary of James Johnson just because there was other guys who could have gotten minutes, right? Josh Hart played last night. He's not playing tonight. And they gave James Johnson 28 minutes, and he played well. So James Johnson tonight, now with no Josh Hart, is a lock. The fact that James Johnson's price point hasn't changed, they're down another body. He's $3,000 flat. You should play 100% of James Johnson. And we can actually put that into the optimizer for you. So let's just go to players. Let me go to factors by team. Go to Dallas's Mr. James Johnson. Let's lock him in for 100% tonight. I keep thinking Dallas. New Orleans is now where he is. He was on Dallas earlier this year. So James Johnson, let's lock in James Johnson to 100%, and let's rebuild that same exact build. So I personally will be locking in James Johnson. It's pretty rare that you get a $3,000 player going to play 28 minutes, probably at a minimum tonight, and going to average close to a fantasy point per minute. Like, that is very rare. We basically got the preview last night, and now there's no Josh Hart. James Washington, a lock on Golden State tonight. James Washington. Uh-oh. Is there a James Washington in the league? In the league? There is one? Thank God it's Friday. Say I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, my man. Is James Johnson a lock? Yeah, I think so. There you go. Perfect timing. How many Pelicans should we put in a lineup? I think 2 to 3 is going to be good. If you're playing cash, you can get to 4. I'll probably play 2 to 3, James Johnson being one of them, and then deciding on 2 of an Alexander Walker, Bledsoe, and a Lewis, right? Deciding on 2 of those guys, 1 or 2 of those guys. Projection for James Johnson, now that Hart is ruled out as well, 28.5 points for a $3,000 player. And James Johnson is my projection right now, which is clearly very, very good. So now we start to put in some randomness. Let's see what we can start to get, if we can get different at all. Kevin Porter pops up. That's one way to get different. Obviously, you're going to have really high projected lineups tonight with all the value that we have. If you want to check out Patreon, no better time than the beginning of the months. Hop into the Discord. A lot of people signing up lately. You get this optimizer. You get projections, ranks at industry low prices, Discord access, a bunch of other stuff. So you can check it out. I saw somebody just sign up during the stream. Shout out you, whoever that was. So, yeah, you can start to see some spots where we can maybe get different now, right? So I'll pull up... reference some ownership. You can start to see some spots where we can potentially start to get different here. So you're not going to get different at James Johnson or any of these guys, right? But spots where we can maybe start to get different, Kevin Porter, he's going to start to get us different. Only gets better, obviously, if John Wall's out, then maybe he's not as different. So here's a spot to get unique in the lineup. I actually think that Giannis won't be extremely highly owned, so you're not unique, but you're getting a little bit different there. Same thing can probably be said for a guy like Chris Boucher today. Like, people are going to go to Clint Capella now. They're going to go to some other centers like a cheaper Steven Adams. Harrell's always been a pretty decent option today. So I think that you probably get some lower ownership on a Chris Boucher. So in this specific lineup, like if you're playing in a small field single entry that has, let's say, 1,000 people or less, this is exactly what I would do. I would build a chalk lineup, right? And then find how many places you have to get different. 1,000 people or less, get different in 2 spots, maybe 3. But definitely not playing this lineup or just a cash lineup like we saw earlier. So Porter gets you different, right? And so does Boucher. And what do those guys have? Massive ceilings from Porter. Massive ceilings from Boucher. That's what I want, with decent floors, right? So this type of lineup is something that I think is really appealing. We get 3 New Orleans guys in this lineup, 2 from Toronto. I'm fine with that. So this is what happens when you start to include rules and randomness, and we haven't even put groups together yet, which is the power of the optimizer, right? Like, we can do what we did yesterday. We can come in here knowing that New Orleans is going to be popular. Let's put a group for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Let's put a group for Bledsoe. And let's put a group for Lewis, right? We can come in here and we say, I want at most 2 of these guys. So I don't want to get all 3 of these guys in a lineup because I know I'm locking in. If I'm locking in tonight, if I'm going to set it to get at most 4 from a team, right, and I'm locking in a James Johnson, I only want to get 2 of these guys in combination, not all 3 of them. So it's another rule that we can set and start to become more efficient in our lineup building. So this lineup is going to be giving you a difference maker here in terms of ownership in Gordon Hayward and a difference maker in terms of McCall Bridges. So those will be like your 2 pivot options. If you want more pivot options, you increase the randomness, right? Or you can manually do it if you want to. Lineup here, Karl Anthony Towns will be lower owned. Gordon Hayward will be lower owned, and so will Malcolm Brogdon. So now you got 3 different ones. Like, Brogdon will probably be 10%. Towns will probably come in somewhere around 10%. And then you're going to be getting Gordon Hayward, I assume, going to be tonight in the single digit ownership, as so many other players around him will be picking up ownership like a Clint Capella. So there's a lot of ways to find some good plays today. Are you high on anybody else at the same level as James Johnson? No, not at all. There's nobody maybe this entire year that's looked like the play that James Johnson is. Nobody this entire year. No. You do not find a power forward playing probably around 30-plus minutes today in a good matchup against Atlanta where John Collins is not playing, right, in terms of defense matchups. And he's $3,000 flat, and he averages over a fantasy point per minute with all these guys off the court. I mean, this is very rare. Giannis game, Clippers, Lakers, Boston kept him in check. Yeah, Giannis just by default today looks really good, and he's not going to pick up the ownership because people will go with balanced builds. Who's that in the thumbnail today? That is Lewis Jr., Kyrie Lewis Jr. So how many players from the Hawks/Pels game? I have my lineup to not have more than my rules tab not have more than 3 from a team. So if you want to get 5 guys from those teams, I'm fine with that. I'll probably more. A lot of these lineups are featuring. Let's see, this lineup has 4 guys from the team, 3 from New Orleans and just 1 from Atlanta. So I assume like my lineups will have anywhere from 2 to 4. My main lineup, my single entry lineup tonight. Hesitant to run Bledsoe, but Lewis missed everything last night, man. Lewis missed everything last night and still scored enough fantasy points for him to get the flames next to his name on DK Live, right? So, I mean, that's just how many minutes that these guys are going to play tonight and how many opportunities they're all going to get. It's very hard for them to fail with their team total and how many guys are actually active and actual NBA players. Like when Wes Iwundu is soaking up 25 minutes of time, you know people are getting balling out around him. So these are pretty interesting lineups. Obviously, a lot of news is going to impact if these lineups are anywhere near viable as we get through it. Some other lower-owned options. Williams is sort of lower-owned. Chris Boucher will be lower-owned. Kuzma will be somewhat lower-owned. So, yeah, these lineups are starting to be pretty unique automatically today, which I like to see. Is Boucher 4.7K in FanDuel? Do you think that's worth a play? Yeah, I think it is. Horton or Williams on DK raw points today? Williams, I assume you mean Robert Williams? Which Williams? If it's Robert Williams, Clay, the answer will be Robert Williams. Iwundu is trash. Agree. Horton or Lou Williams? Give me Kevin Horton. Top 5 Super Draft plays today says Timeout Sports Podcast. So top 5 just based on pure projections. These would not be my so Alexander Walker, Gordon Hayward, Towns, Bledsoe, and Giannis. But I think that I like Bogdan Bogdanovic from Atlanta more than Giannis today because he has a 1.75x multiplier and the same amount of projections. I even like Clint Capella more than Giannis because you get a higher multiplier. So there's some options for you. When I optimize 150 lineups using your projections and your optimizer, top 5 to 6 scoring lineups do not have any guys over 9K. Is that a good approach tonight in single entry tournaments? I think it's a fine approach, but I would ask you, are you putting in any rules? Because all the high projected lineups that we're putting out here with randomness, we're getting Giannis at $10,000, right? We're getting Giannis in basically all these top projected lineups. This one doesn't. So this one has Towns. So you can see this one has Towns. So all the ones that I'm projecting out have them. So make sure you're using randomness, right? So if you are using the Big Energy Optimizer, link down below if you want to check it out. Make sure you're using randomness. Make sure you're putting in groups if possible. But randomness will help you get lineups with higher outcomes, higher point totals with randomness. So I put 30% on for now. Uniques, 3. You can use 2 to 3. I use 3 just for now to try and get more unique. More uniques you use, the more uniques you use, the more uniques your total lineups will be. And then a maximum team, I put 3. You can put 4 if you want. You can put 2. I think 3 is fine, though. I'm okay to get 3 Pelicans in these lineups. 4 is not too much with how valuable they all are, but there's a lot of value elsewhere, so I try to avoid that if I can. Got a really big pain in my neck. Don't know what that's from. Trying to crack it out. Sam, my dude, just leaving work. Haven't been able to get too much Prize Picks news or top picks. What are you feeling? Catch me up. Yeah, man, I haven't even looked at Prize Picks outside of this morning. So we can talk about it in a second. We can go through it on the stream together, but I haven't, like, usually I'll list like 10. I haven't had a chance today. At least not yet. What single entry contract charge should I aim for? Sal, bet your media. I personally like anything under 1,000, ideally under 500. Didn't Blake Griffin jump over that car? He did, yeah. Sal, what's your thoughts on Andrew Wiggins with Steph out? Don't like him. Jordan Poole got a little bit of a bump. Draymond got a little bit of a bump. Most of that team, though, was already priced for it. Sal, coming to San Diego. Petco Park. Watch the Padres. Beers and brats on me. I love it. Yeah, San Diego's, I've never been there, but it seems like a dream spot to visit for sure. Projection for James Johnson, now that Hart is out, 28.5 points for me. 28.5 points. Thoughts on Norman Powell? Not for me personally today. So let's go back over to, now that we have this on the screen, no James Powell for me personally. Looks like Williams is locked in your single entry lineups, LOL. What do you mean, Williams? I don't know what that means. Williams is locked in my single entry lineups? What are you talking about? I mean, I only have one single entry lineup. Robert Williams, you mean? Let's see. No, he's not locked. Robert Williams in these 20 lineups. So this is just a 20 max. We didn't pull out 150 in this one. I got 45% Robert Williams and 20 max. 100% James Johnson, though. We did purposely lock James Johnson. You can see here. This is not my final exposures by any means. We're 2 hours until lock, and nowhere near all the news has come out. I mean, lineups alone are news, right? So we're nowhere near that. Do you like Lou Williams or Horton more tonight? I want to see if Lou Williams starts. If he doesn't start, I can't trust him as much. So I have Kevin Horton for 26.5. I have him as a better play than Lou Williams today. Lou Williams is in a player pool, though, for me. Currently on this 10-game slate, my player pool consists of 42 players, yeses of which are 17 yeses. You can see all that on Patreon. You can see all that on Patron. Just put the link in the chat. Sal, talk Prize Picks, brother. Yeah, we will soon. They're not sponsoring the program today, but we can talk Prize Picks for sure. I don't have much to add. I can just kind of go through and give thoughts based on my projections. I don't plan to play Prize Picks today. I don't play DFS every day. Weekends are usually when I start to settle down a little bit more from playing all the DFS sites. Relax a little bit. How do you feel about Moses Brown tonight? I'm not there. Too many better centers. It just looked like he was in the majority of lineups is all I was saying. Gotcha. Thoughts on Booker today? Hey, Sal, thanks for the input. I have $6,800 left for utility. Who would you go with at $6,800 and below today? I guess, like, who have you already played? Because Robert Williams at $6,700, Draymond at $6,700. Williams at $6,700 would probably be my top option if you're not playing Alexander Walker. Draymond is a pretty good option, get you somewhat different. Harrell at $66. So I would rank it Robert Williams, Alexander Walker, Robert Williams, Draymond, Harrell. In that order. Somebody says, what does that even mean? What does what even mean? Thanks, Sal. I took down 1,500 on Super Draft last night. Hey, Chad, let's go. Sato or Chalk Bledsoe? How much randomness do you normally use? I usually go around 25%. Depends on the slate. I use it per player, so I don't like the general randomness. I'm using more so for the quicker examples. But it's also going to be the easiest for people. My neck is killing me on my left side. But 25 is fine. Yeah, you can go higher if you want on the bigger slates, but I do it per player. But that's fine. Thoughts on Brogdon is with and without Sabonis. I like him with or without. Obviously better without. Appreciate it. Just subscribe. Welcome, B. Jones. Let's go. Do you like Lou Williams or Horton more? Give me Horton. You think Miles Turner's turn up if Sabonis is out? Did I take stuttering all over the place? Miles Turner I took out of a player pool, but yeah, he'll start to project out in the mid-30s probably for me if Sabonis is out. How many minutes do you have Cat for tonight? He's been playing a bunch of minutes lately. Yeah, he has been playing big minutes, which is nice to see. We finally got him up there a couple weeks back. I have Cat today at 35 minutes, so pretty big minutes you can see on the screen. Yeah, I meant James Wiseman in the dozen video this morning. You said James Washington. Who's the thumbnail tonight? It's Lewis Jr. from New Orleans. Can I pair Bogdanovich and Horton tonight? Yeah. Yep. I think you can. Good sir. Got a free ticket and a 5-man entry. Should I build a cash or GPP lineup? GPP. What's we doing? Why are you trying to turn $5 into $9? What are we doing out here? Thoughts on Rozier and Harrell tonight? Rozier only in larger field GPPs, so I don't expect to get much exposure personally. Harrell is okay, but with all these other centers opening up, I prefer Robert Williams. I prefer Draymond, who's obviously center eligible. Prefer some other options. Clint Capella. Robert Williams or Dre? Robert Williams. Minutes on Cat, 35 for me. You still high on Dennis Schroeder? Yeah. Not as high as this morning because other guys obviously opened up with Josh Hart out. Dennis Schroeder is my number 18 overall play today. Bledsoe or Horton? Bledsoe. Kemba Walker? No. Prize Picks. Yep. A lot of hate within the business of DFS when it comes to Prize Picks, somebody says. A lot of hate within the business. I don't know what that means, RJ. Who are some of your least favorite plays / teams tonight? Probably not teams, but I could look at the highest owned guys and just go off of those because I have a lot of plays I don't like. So out of the highest owned guys today, I like Bledsoe today, but I prefer Lewis Jr. and Johnson and Alexander Walker from that team, so I'll probably have less. I'll have less of Harrell today because I prefer Capella. I prefer Siakam, who's center eligible. I really prefer Robert Williams, who's coming in lower owned. Ja Morant's going to pick up a lot of ownership. I'm not there at all tonight. So those are some of my lower owned options, I guess you can say. Other than that, like, you start to get into pretty low ownership after that. Like, I'm not going to have much Ayton, but I don't think he'll be that highly owned. I'll have some McCall Bridges as a value, though. Yeah. And then you're into lower ownership. So, like, out of the guys who will be highly owned today, I'm not fading Bledsoe, but I prefer some of the other guys from New Orleans, but he's still a very good play if you're just not playing all those other guys. I'll be below the field on Harrell, I expect, and Ja Morant. Top Raptor picks today for you. Yes, in this order for me, it is Siakam, the man on the little screen right here. It'll be Siakam for me from Toronto, then Chris Boucher, then Fred VanVleet. And if I go down some more, Stanley Johnson's a punt, but he's not on a player pool for me right now. Yeah. What pay-up option should I build around in a small pool? I like Giannis the most. It'll be somewhat chalky. I don't think it'll be anywhere near the highest owned, though. But Giannis. Lillard or Fox today? I'll take Lillard. Cat and Horton or Giannis and Bledsoe? Giannis and Bledsoe. Yo, what's good, Sal? What's going on? Your opinion on the best chalk fade tonight? Probably Bledsoe. I have nothing, or Montrezl Harrell maybe. Ja Morant as well. He's not picking up too much ownership, though. Do you like Chris Boucher? Yeah, I like him a lot. Robert Williams or Capella? If I had to pick one between Robert Williams and Capella tonight, it depends on what the rest of your lineup is because they're a pretty big salary difference, right? Like a $1,500 difference. So, like, who's your other option, right? I'll take Capella all day because of the point projection. Best pick for Superdraft, I like Gordon Hayward again over there, but there's a couple of different ones, right? Besides Sons of Bars, downtown San Diego has a Little Italy. Yeah, Chris Randone, I used to do some shows with him on Osimo during NFL, not this past year, the year before. He lived in the, we used to talk about the Little Italy district down there. Bogdan or Hayward on Superdraft? Hayward. Would you go Siakam and James Johnson and have the savings, or go Johnson and Giannis? I'd rather go Johnson and Giannis, yeah. I mean, if you're just saying you're not putting anybody else in your lineup. Who's your favorite team? Just curious. I don't have a favorite basketball team. No favorite team. Don't have any affiliation to any of them. What do you have Chris Boucher projected for? I'll pull up his minutes right now. I only have him for 22 minutes, but that can clearly be more. I don't know how much less it could be, to be honest with you, outside of foul trouble or a blowout. I have Chris Boucher for 28.9 fantasy points, and I'm probably low on him. OG is putting up good numbers and consistent. I agree. Yeah. I'm not off of OG tonight. I'm not off of OG Anunoby tonight. He's in a player pool for about 35 fantasy points. His price point is coming up. Sorry, I said that wrong. Cat and Bledsoe or Giannis and Horton? Give me... I will take... Oh, that's tough. I'll take Cat and Bledsoe. Cat will be lower owned, so to balance out Bledsoe, I think you get more upside. Hi, Sal. Who do you have projected higher, Hayward or Jaylen Brown? Thank you, Hayward. Harold chalk, somewhat. He's not going to be like the chalkiest guy in the slate, but he'll be around 20% owned. Yeah. Grant or Bledsoe tonight? Give me Bledsoe or Trent or Bledsoe. You like Gary Trent? He's in a player pool, but he's not anywhere near a priority. I probably don't get the much. Thoughts on Bogdanovich today? Looks good. Yeah. Bogdanovich is a top 10 play for me today. He looks good. No Trey is going to be really helping him probably the most. Favorite utility play with $5,200 left on his salary? Kevin Horton at $4,500. Otherwise, you can start to look at Steven Adams at $52. Chris Boucher at $52 will probably be my answer. But Chris Boucher or Kevin Horton. Horton will be your safer play. Boucher is your clear upside play. All right, so we can look at this now. So we look at some prize pick stuff. I'll kind of go through based on where my projections are at on these guys. And what stands out from there. Robert Williams is already appropriate. I mean, Kevin Porter, we come and we run at if John Wall is out, right? So this is prize picks. If you want to check it out, it's linked down below. But Kevin Porter, if John Wall's out, we come and we just run over to him, right? Randall, I still lean the over on. Even better if Barrett was to miss, right? If Barrett was to miss, you come in and get the over on Burks. Looking at more of these. Gordon Hayward, I still want the over on. He was at 36.5 this morning. Now he's at 36. That's pretty good. Going down more. Brogdon, I lean the over on. Cat, I lean the over on. Nothing on Devontae Graham. That's fine. Levert, that's fine. If anything, I'd take the Jazz fine. Ja, I'm at right around that. Vooch at 40 is really interesting. Squeak Diesel says a thumbs up, $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Vooch at 40 is really interesting. I don't have anything on this. This is like my first time looking at all the odds, but pretty interesting. Alexander Walker, I have at 39. That's appropriate. All these are appropriate. I think Clint Capella, the over on 42 is very beneficial. Hey, Chad, this is the first time playing prize picks. Who do y'all like tonight? Says Sam W. What's going on, Sam? How you doing, boss man? What's up, Sal? KP or Gobert tonight? I will be taking KP there. What about Devin Booker for low ownership, salvage or media? Yeah, he's just always a low one play if you want to play him. I don't have a real stance on Devin Booker. Once a week, he'll do well for you, right? So there's no real stance for me on Devin Booker tonight. The overs on Damian Lillard still looks good. Damian Lillard over 42 is very good. One of my, I would say, favorite plays. We already talked about it this morning. My neck is killing me. Dennis Schroeder. So not much is really standing out down here, to be honest with you. Would you rather go to McCollum or Lillard? On DraftKings, McCollum, they both look fine, though, on prize picks. Like, I have McCollum right now. I would probably go to Lillard still. I have Lillard for 46.6 points. He's only at 42. So Lillard will be one of my favorite options. I believe we talked about him this morning. So Lillard will be one of my favorite options. McCollum, where I currently have McCollum, though, I have CJ McCollum for 40.68. So, yeah, I would rather go to Lillard over McCollum. He's going to be one that stands out. Drew Holiday is really high. Drew Holiday is extremely high. So, Drew Holiday, I have at 35. He's at 37. I guess it's not that far off for a decent steals guy, two-way player. Still really high, though. Moses Brown, I'll take the under on. The problem with Moses Brown is that this guy can pick up 3 or 4 blocks like it's nothing. But I have Moses Brown tonight at 34. He's at 36. I have to put together a card, though. Like I have the props from this morning, but I've been out and about today, so I haven't looked at this massive 10-game slate. But I would say that from what I'm seeing right now, Lillard is probably my favorite option. But the guys in the Discord, I should actually probably see what they're doing. The guys in the Discord are putting together charts based on my projections and the difference right now in prize picks. If you're not in there, you're missing out right now. But yeah, Cat and Capella I do like on the overs there. And I do like right now the Damian Lillard over 42. But what I want to see is what happens with guys like RJ Barrett, which will help Alec Burks is over, trying to get advantage there before it changes. You get like a minute. And then also I like the over, obviously, on Porter. The over on Porter is just a lock if John Wall was to miss. Markieff Morris. What do I have Markieff at? He's grading out for 24 points. I think I'm probably around there. Markieff at for 22.3, so it's not enough for me to really go after it. I think that's fair. I think that's where I'm at on most of this. 8, and I'm at right around his projection. Roby, I'm right around there. So it looks like there's 4 or 5 spots that we can target, and then a couple more as news comes out later today. KP or Fred VanVleet today? If I had to pick one, Fred VanVleet. Is Mannion in play today? Not for me. Kuzma in play? Yes. Any love for Tony Snell? He's a punt. That's about it. Hey, Sal, so far your best 2 prize picks. I haven't looked at it enough, and I'm not going to place anything until we get news on John Wall, because then the best prize pick will be Kevin Porter, and on RJ Barrett, because then another top pick will be Alec Burks. But Damian Lillard looks pretty good on the over. McDaniels or Poke at forward? Probably the answer is neither, but if you had to pick one, I'll go Poke. Capella or Van Vliet today? Give me Capella. You think Capella plays? Reports last night saying keep an eye on injury report. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. They have him as probable right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. You find the car on Car Gurus? No, I did not. What do we got? 33 is doable, says Edwards can pop off. Yeah, Edwards could pop off, but he's not getting you there since Malik Beasley has been back, right? So I have Edwards at 33.75, so that's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me, dog. Also want to pull up the sponsor of the program. Shout him out, Superdraft, continuing to sponsor the program. Not only do you have NBA tonight, you have MLB, which we do have projections for Superdraft for, but the contest last night filled in the 80s to actually 90s, which we were figuring because they lowered the contest, right? So this is going to be opening at 7:30, so they're about 2 hours in from lock. Last night at this time, it was about 37% filled. Tonight, it is currently coming in around 29% filled, so there's a chance for some overlay, maybe 10, 15%. SuperDraft is a multiplier format if you want to check it out. Urge you to try it out. If you sign up using the code SAL, you put $25 or more, and they'll give you $25, and each month you'll be entered into raffles automatically just by playing on the site that month to win vacations, free vacations, so free travel credits with Caesar Rewards. You can just go on vacations. They can send you to a bunch of different places. People are going to win that starting now in April with our new deal that we ended up getting. I wanted to get more benefits for the community. So $25 upon deposit right away instead of their 50% match thing on a slow drip format. You get it right away now. Top SuperDraft plays: Alexander Walker, Gordon Hayward, Towns, Bledsoe, Giannis, Bogdanovic, and Capella are my top 7 SuperDraft plays right now. And I would, with baseball going on at the same exact times of lock, I would expect to probably have this contest filling in the upper 80s, like 85%, which is good. You enter our lineup, you beat 15% of the field. So you can check it out. You could use that code SAL. It's a link down below. They start at 7:30, so there's not going to be all the games on the slate, which I actually like. You get a little extra time to put it in there. $3K to first. What is the MLB contest looking like tonight? So the MLB contest is $2K to first, and this one's actually starting. Okay, so this one starts at, their slate starts at 7. So this one's nowhere near filled. Look at this. People are forgetting about MLB. So NBA is not even close to filling all that much, right? Obviously, we're a couple hours away. But this one starts in an hour and a half, and it's only 25% filled. So this is the MLB one. We have projections again over on Patreon. But this is really cool. This is really cool to see. Yeah. All right. Check them out. Free vacations sound pretty good. Opportunities to win free vacations. You ain't guaranteed. This shit. Export a lineup from Optimizer for the first time today. Got excited, I guess. Probably should wait till 30 minutes before the games. Yeah, man, try out the process, though, right? You're going to need to update that, I would assume. We're going to get at least one lineup difference or one other piece of news. Fingers crossed that we don't, right? So let's work for your boy. But, yeah, try out the process. That's fun. Any other news that we've gotten for today's slate? I see some Saturday news popping out right now. Nothing for today's slate. Is Giannis just playing worse, or does Drew negatively affect him that much? Giannis is playing worse. Like, Drew negatively, it does affect him. Like, Giannis isn't going to be posting 70-point games when Drew Holiday is out there as much as he does when it's Pat Connaughton and their backups getting all the run, right? So that's a real thing. We showed it on this video this morning, but he's just playing bad. Like, Giannis is going to score 50 and 60 still with Drew Holiday next to him. It's just that Drew Holiday is going to restrict his mega ceiling of 70 and 80 and the frequency that he gets there. Not restrict it completely. Top guards for GPP tonight. Depends on what you're playing. Like, if I'm giving you top guards to start your lineup off with, obviously the New Orleans guys, the Atlanta guys, the Toronto guys, right? Those are like your best options tonight. You can like throw sprinkles in there of some other players, but it's the Atlanta, the Toronto, and the New Orleans guys, right? That's obvious, but you can't just play all those. Otherwise, you're building a cash lineup. So do you already have a couple of them in there? Are you looking for a pivot option at guard tonight that's going to be lower owned, right? Because top guards are just those guys. But you said for a GPP, but you obviously still have to use those guys. But there'll be some pivots. Like Dennis Schroeder will still be a pivot option. Is he a top guard tonight? No, but if you need a pivot, he is a pivot option. De'Aaron Fox will be a pivot option. Won't be owned won't be owned at all tonight, right? Malik Beasley will eventually pop off. He won't be owned at all. But they're not top guard options. They're just your natural pivot plays, right? All the top guard options are priced up. Like Chris Paul and Booker, sure, they're your pivot plays if you want to. I think it's easier to pivot at center today. Like when you're pivoting off of these top projected really good place guards in New Orleans, Toronto, and Atlanta, when you're trying to pivot off of them to some pretty shitty plays today, or you can pivot off of some of the centers to Karl Anthony Towns, right? Like there's levels to this, right? When you're looking for pivot plays, don't force a guard pivot. Don't force a Devin Booker pivot, right? Don't pivot off to Devin Booker if he's not as secure more times than not, when you could literally pivot off to tonight Karl Anthony Towns, or you can pivot off to a Jonas Valanciunas. These centers who are going to be, or Kristaps Porzingis, guys who are center eligible, who are going to be massively on their own tonight. Like that's where you can start to find some value in terms of your pivots. Pivot at forward tonight with Gordon Hayward, who's going to be like sub 10% ownership. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Kelly Oubre, right, with no Steph. He's going to be sub 10% ownership. These are spots where you can start to pivot. I do think Lou Williams is always a good pivot option, and he is a guard today. He'll be low owned, but there is a real chance that he can only play 20 minutes. We have yet to see him actually be ramped up or even really be playing. Middle or Wood on SuperDraft? I assume middle means Middleton. Let me give you that answer. So Wood is my number 37 play on SuperDraft tonight. Middleton is my number 45. So neither of them, but Wood if you had to pick one. Any thoughts on OG Anunoby tonight? Decent play in a player pool. Looks good. Not a priority. Definitely not a bad play. Decent play. McCollum or Fred VanVleet? Fred VanVleet. Your thoughts on the Warriors tonight? I like Draymond. I like Kelly Oubre and some larger field GPPs. That's about it, right? Jordan Poole. Wiseman is okay, but there's just so many other centers that I'm not going to get there. Porzingis, Middleton, or Hayward? Give me Hayward. Give me Hayward for the low ownership. Harold, Draymond, or Williams tonight? I will take Robert Williams there. I'm like, who are your favorite New Orleans plays? All of them. New Orleans in this order are my interest. James Johnson is a 100% lock button for me tonight. Lewis Jr., Bledsoe, Alexander Walker. Those four in that order. Sal, what do you think about Alec Burks today? Alec Burks with a C is only interesting if RJ Barrett was to miss. Is this a 2-stud slate or 1-stud imbalance? It seems to be 1-stud imbalance. There's just not 2 studs in the slate. Like Giannis and Luka and Towns are like the only studs in the slate, with guys like Trae Young and Steph being injured now. So it seems to be a 1-stud slate. Can you get to 2 easily? Yeah. Yeah, when James Johnson is 3K flat, yeah. If I had to play 2, I would play Towns and Giannis, and that'll actually be a pretty unique lineup. Thank you, Sal, for the Kuz question. No problem, man. Can you run through the best guards for GPP tonight? Yeah, I mean, just the best guards in general. Like, I'm not going to say for GPP because then I have to know your total lineup ownership and like who you have and don't have. My top-rated guards tonight are Lewis, Bledsoe, Alexander Walker, Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovich, Lou Williams, Dennis Schroeder, right? Those types of guys. There's other guys in there who are not as secure options and punts like Brandon Goodwin. Also Fred VanVleet's in that conversation. Fred VanVleet before Dennis Schroeder. Lou Williams or Huerter? I'll take Huerter. If Lou Williams starts, I'll pivot to him. Thoughts on Kristoff and Luka? I'm not going to want both personally. Do some more optimizer. Big dollar risky optimizer. Yeah, we can do that. We can optimize some more. I'm going to put on 38% optimize. Let's build out some more lineups. We'll increase randomness and go from there. Best shooting guard for $7,200 Rooskies today. So I assume that just means you want the closest to $7,200. You have that amount of money left. Let me pull up the shooting guard options. So your best shooting guard for that amount of money, $7,200 or more tonight, is going to be not LeVert. Porter Jr. will look really good at $6,500. It's going to be Alexander Walker at $6,200. He's shooting guard eligible. But Porter Jr. will look really appealing if John Wall is out. Kia Optimizers have come a long way since they were viewed as trash cars. Yeah, my parents had a Kia Optima, I think in 2016, 2015, and it was really cool. They had it for like 2 or 3 years. I liked it a lot. Yeah, so I mean, I was not searching for a certain car. I just put in the price range that I was working with, was just going to be paying cash, which I was hoping would get me a discount, but not at Carvana, I guess. And then, yeah, that was the goal. Huerter and Porzingis or VanVleet and Melton. By the way, thank you, man. I appreciate your advice. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that, Anthony Benjamin. I'll take Huerter and Porzingis there. Porzingis or Hayward? I'll take Hayward. Lower ownership. They'll both be low on, but I'll go there. Can you rank your Atlanta Hawks today? Yeah, I'll pull up Atlanta's minutes on the screen, and I will rank Atlanta as it stands right now. I have Atlanta ranked as Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovich, Brandon Goodwin, Lou Williams, and Capella is point per dollar wise my rankings. Now, my actual interests will be in this order. Trying to factor in other things. Capella, Huerter, or Capella, Bogdanovich, Huerter, Lou Williams, Brandon Goodwin. Favorite Superdraft center on the slate today? Karl Anthony Towns, you get 15% bonus points. Otherwise, Clint Capella, you get plus 25%. So let's pull back up the Big Energy Optimizer now that we got this. So we added more randomness. Let's see what we start to get here. So when adding more randomness, you start to get a little bit different. You see here, we start to get like a Harrison Barnes in our line, who's not a terrible play by any means. So now we're starting to get different in these 2 spots and Robert Williams to an extent. So not bad. In this lineup, you're getting different with Dennis Schroeder as your pivot. You're getting different with Vooch, who will be very low on today. I'm encouraged by that. So adding more randomness starting to look good. Isn't Schroeder shooting guard at $7,200? He's $7,100 today. Dennis Schroeder is only a point guard eligible player. Only point guard eligible, not shooting guard eligible. VanVleet or Capella today if you had to pick one? I'll take Capella, but it's very close. Thoughts on this lineup? Aaron Rodgers, 8X. Yes, always that. How many minutes do you have Brandon Goodwin for today? Brandon Goodwin I currently have for 18 minutes. He's in a player pool as a punt option, but since I'm going to have 100% of James Johnson, I don't think I'll be getting too much of like the Brandon Goodwins types today or the Tony Snells, those types of guys. Shooting guard, $7,200 or lower. Yeah, I answered it earlier. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. What do you think of Halliburton tonight? I know you had him in your top 12 picks earlier. Yeah, he still looks good. What's going on, Frank? My fellow Italiano in the chat. He still looks like an okay option. He's dropped a good amount for me. He's now my number 28 overall play. It has nothing to do with Halliburton's projection changing. It has everything to do with Trae Young being out, right? All the guys basically getting ruled out. Josh Hart and all the other studs. So all the New Orleans guys now jump him. Like this morning, Halliburton, he was in my top 12, but realistically, he was my number 18 play because I was excluding all of the New Orleans guys. I said that as a disclaimer. So he has basically dropped 10 spots. Why has he dropped 10 spots? Well, that's because you've had Kevin Porter open up, Bogdanovich open up. You've had Steven Adams jumped in there with Josh Hart out. Brandon Goodwin and Lou Williams are punts. So that's 5 guys right there alone, not even starting to get into some of these other options like Draymond with Steph out, right, and things along that line. So he's dropped a decent amount now. So I think there's just better options now. See some other lineup opportunities that we have. Again, if you want to check this out, the link to it is in the chat right now. The Big Energy Optimizer. Check it out right there. It's in the chat. Any interest in McDermott or Justin Holiday? No. They changed from point guard and shooting guard. Yeah, they've changed a lot of guys lately. Schroeder or John Morant tonight? John Morant will probably be twice the ownership or close to it. So if you need a lower owned option, Dennis Schroeder. If you're like, hey, I'm playing cash or hey, I already got different in another spot, John Morant. John Morant is the safer option to score you 35 points. They both, to me, have similar upside to score 40 points tonight. Your current top 12 options. Yeah, so I'll include just my yeses. There's going to be some other punts like Wes Iwundu, Jackson Hayes, and Brandon Goodwin in here. But like Steven Adams, Lou Williams, those guys are in the top 12 or close to it. But I'll just include my yeses that are in the top 12. So James Johnson, Lewis, Bledsoe, Alexander Walker, Robert Williams, Kevin Porter, Bogdanovich, Siakam, Capella, Boucher, Fred VanVleet, and Dennis Schroeder. Just outside of that is Draymond Green, Harrell, and Giannis. Do you like Lou Williams if he starts? Yes, I like him a lot. Lou Williams right now for me ranks out as my number 13 overall play. He's not a yes, but he will become a yes for me. Walker or Porter Jr. if Wall sits. I'll have to update the projections when that comes. The actual answer will be both. Like my real answer will be both. But for now, it'll still be Walker. Fair enough. Yeah. How much do you have Porter projected for tonight? I have Kevin Porter projected for, as my number 6 overall play, 26.5 fantasy points in a 32-minute projection. So there's obviously a higher upside to his minutes. As you can see right here, I have Atlanta, 32 minutes for Porter. How do you like Oubre to get different in a 500-person field, Salvatore? I like it. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I'm actually looking at Oubre in those types of builds. It'll depend on what happens with Kevin Porter Jr., because I don't think he'll pick up as much ownership as he should tonight. He'll pick up ownership, but maybe only like 16% because of all these other guys tonight, especially if that news comes out a little bit later. But I've been looking at Oubre. I will not say I'm definitely finalizing on him, but he's in like a 20-person player pool for my single entry stuff as a differentiating piece. If Lou starts, does he move above Kevin Porter for you? I honestly don't know if Lou's better starting. The minutes are better. They get more secure. But obviously, like Lou man, 6-man, like Lou will, right? Like shout out Drake. Like he's more comfortable coming off the bench. So I'm not really expecting him to start. If he starts, will I give him more minutes? Yes, I currently have Lou Williams at 24 minutes. If he starts, I could probably give him 26 to 28, which will make him a better play than Kevin Porter. Do you like Drew Holiday today? No. If anything, I'm actually going against Drew Holiday today. Siakam and Schroeder already have Harrell and Fred VanVleet, or OG and Capella. OG and Capella versus Schroeder and Siakam. Already have Harrell and Fred VanVleet. Give me OG and Capella if you already have those other guys. Covington for 6.1. I'm in a huge over. Not for me. Rudy or Turner in a flex spot. I'll take Turner, but you're going to have more money, so you have to use that wisely if that's the case. No chance James Johnson's bust. I just hate trusting him. Yeah, there's a chance. Is it 10%? Yeah, probably around there. But they're down bodies. They have nobody to play the position that he's going to play tonight. Josh Hart's now out, who doesn't play a lot of power forward, but does slide down there sometimes in positionless basketball, which is most of the NBA now. I mean, he played 28 minutes yesterday with Josh Hart playing minutes, right? He's going to play, assuming James Johnson starts at the 4, he is going to be in 100% of my lineups. Just not going to try and get cute and get around it. I don't care if he's going to be highly owned. He's not going to be highly owned as much. You still like Brogdon today? Yes. James Johnson is good when given minutes. Yeah, he's always been good when given minutes. Look at Dallas earlier this year. So, like James Johnson if you gave James Johnson 24 minutes tonight, I'd be considering locking him. With a 28-minute projection, man, oh man, this guy's the limit. What is the history between Gobert and Vooch? Honestly, I don't really care. Like you can go to like around the NBA or whatever it is and look at their matchups and how they fared against each other. But I'm not sure I care too much. There's people out there who definitely look into the matchups of guys earlier this year and in the past and how they play each other. There's a real thing to how guys play each other. I just think that comes down to their skill. 2 good guys projecting in today for both of them. I think Vooch is the better option factoring in ownership. What's your projection for LeBron and AD? 0s, and I can guarantee those. Robbie or Turner in the flex spot? Roby or Turner? Give me Turner. Sal won $563 with your help. You the man. Vince coming into the chat. Maybe a fellow Italiano or Hawaiian. I don't know what that last name is, but Vince. Binkin, $560. Let's fucking go, my man. Okay, you sold me. Prayers up, LOL, says Josh. Think any chance Hernan Gomez plays power forward at all tonight? He could, maybe. I don't think I got any minutes for him. I don't think I have any minutes for... Actually, maybe I gave him 0. Do I have any minutes for Hernan Gomez tonight? Let's see. Does not seem like I have any minutes for Mr. Willie Hernan Gomez. Any solid prize picks? Yeah, I mean, like Damian Lillard looks good in the over, but I'm waiting for, and some other guys. Towns, I lean the over. Unders on some other players. We talked about it earlier, maybe like 10 minutes ago if you wanted to scroll back. But I'm really waiting on prize picks to see John Wall news for Kevin Porter and to see RJ Barrett news for Alec Burks. I think Mitchell eats again tonight against Chicago. Yeah, he'll be lower owned. RotoWire has James Johnson at 34 minutes. Do you see that as a possibility? Yeah, that's definitely a high medium projection. But I can see that being a possibility. He played 28 yesterday without Josh Hart, who was playing massive minutes. Or with Josh Hart in there, actually. Going to be a rush to get to the NBA and MLB lineups in at basically the same time tonight. Yeah, expect that for every night moving forward, right? MLB will start in the afternoon, some slates now on the weekends, but expect that every day. I mean, that's why I can't make MLB content. What do you expect me to do? Like, even if I wanted to hire somebody to do it, like this channel would have like 6 videos a day, which I guess is fine, but how much can people really consume in sports that are way less desired than like NFL, right? And also just like realistically, like I'm on a live stream right now for NBA, and then people are just going to be going on a live stream for MLB. The easier thing for MLB is you don't have late news, right? Like you need lineups, but you kind of know what they're going to be. So you can do like an MLB live stream from probably like 5 to 6, and then your NBA one from 6 to 7. How do you feel about OG tonight? In a player pool, I think he's a pretty nice pivot off of all the chalk for big minutes. And I mean, OG's a guy who's going to eventually get you 4 steals and 2 blocks and score 50 points, right? So he always has a high ceiling. Paul George is starting the process of missing rest of the season, like the fake cough on Sunday morning. Is that true? Did a report come out about that? Bledsoe or Porzingis and Horter today? Give me Porzingis and Kevin Horter. I like the upside more of Porzingis over like Bledsoe. And I think Kuzma and Horter can produce pretty similarly today. I mean, I have Kuzma in the 30s and Horter in the mid-20s, but I think there's a chance that they can produce similarly. And I think you could even compare Porzingis and Kuzma there. I like Porzingis more than Kuzma. Bledsoe I like slightly more than Horter. Yeah. I think your cash build will be Kuzma and Bledsoe, but I think you're getting a little bit more upside from the Porzingis side. Brogdon or Schroeder today? Give me Denny Schroeder. Rocco or Norman Powell? The answer is neither for me. I don't want either of those guys. I'll take Rocco, though. Do you uncheck everyone you don't want on the optimizer? No. Unless I'm getting too much of a guy for some reason, but I usually won't based on projection. But you can uncheck guys, but I don't uncheck anybody. I leave the whole player pool, and I go from there. You can uncheck guys, though. How many Pelicans is too much on one lineup? I'm going to probably have 3. I mean, you can get to 4, but that's more so of a cash build for me with all the other value on today's slate. Donovan Mitchell for a low-owned play? I'm in for that. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, those types of guys, low-owned plays are definitely upside. Like we saw, we said yesterday, DeMar DeRozan is a low-owned upside play. Now, he got overtime, which is lucky, but he gets you there, right? Let's check in on what's happening because at 7 o'clock tonight is when the Super Draft baseball starts. So let's check in on what's happening on that because NBA is going to start at 7:30. So Super Draft's baseball contest tonight. Again, you can check it out. It's linked down below. Super Draft, you can use the code SAL. You get $25 upon signing up and depositing 25 or more. And you get opportunities every month for free vacations just by playing over there. And it's just for my users. So if you use the code SAL, only people have used the code SAL, which it's not like it's been tens of thousands of people like in all these other bullshit free rolls that people give out. It's not going to be that many people. So you're going to have a decent percent chance, maybe a 1% chance some months if you played that month through my code. So especially with it not being the NFL season, less people are probably playing fantasy sports just in general. So right now in this Super Draft prize pool, you currently have, or in the player field, you have with an hour and 20 minutes to go, it's only 31% filled. I mean, there's a decent chance tonight that this only fills at 75%. That's pretty damn good, right? That's pretty damn good. And that's the second day of MLB. That's how little interest there is. Like literally already on the second day of MLB, NBA's prize pools are still bigger than Super Drafts. That's just how little interest there is. And it makes sense. Just, I mean, NBA more of a fast-paced sport, more of a sport that has better marketing in terms of the youth and actually licensing their highlights online and all this other stuff, players being on podcasts more. But NBA is not. The NBA contest tonight for an extra $1,000 to first place. That is at currently 32%. So these are both filling at like 30%. The NBA one, though, has like an extra hour today. Once you enter a submission on Prize Picks, can you change it later or is it locked? It's locked for the night. That's why I'm waiting to see what happens with some of these other games or other teams' injury reports. What is your Gary Trent Jr. projection today? Gary Trent Jr. for me is projected at 28.71 points. Gary Trent Jr. currently ranks out as my 38th overall play, which puts him in a player pool for sure for me. Tony Snell last night, 44 minutes, 13 fantasy points. More useless of a DFS player than PJ Tucker. Yeah, he's not great. I mean, he's a defensive player. He's basically like PJ Tucker. Let's get those dollars. Let's do it. Had an issue with my card and had to re-up for Patreon. Missed one day of projections and can't go back to playing DFS without them, says Matt. I appreciate that, Matt. I hope that means that you're getting good value out of them. Yeah. I don't know if anybody in the chat right now, I'm sure there's patrons in here. If anybody has any words of advice, anybody wants to welcome people into the Discord has been popping. Over 400 people, or very close to it, I believe now, in the Discord. So yeah, get up in there. Obviously, the Discord is just part of the puzzle. It's just one of the perks, an underrated perk. The obvious big upside is once you start to get into the tools, the projections, the optimizer. But yeah, if there's anybody in here from the Discord or the Patreon in general, if you have a specific feature that you like a lot, a couple of things, whatever it is, you have any reviews that you want to give to the people on the outside looking in that are considering it at the beginning of the month, their new paychecks just came in on a Friday. What do you got to say to them? Let them know. Get up in here. If Barrett is out, does that Randall projection go up slightly? Yeah, it'll be more so the guards, of course, slightly though. It's a lot of minutes going out that play alongside Randall, which will affect his rates for sure. Is my DK lineup too chalky? Lewis, NAM, Boucher, Schroeder, Johnson, Capella. Yeah, it's going to be a really chalky lineup. If you're playing that in a contest that has less than 100 or 200 people, maybe you're okay. But if you plan on playing that in anything with thousands of people, that's way too chalky. You got to get different somewhere. I expect all of those guys. I mean, your lowest owned guy will probably be Chris Boucher. So, like, that's going to get you somewhat different, I would say, tonight. Like, Chris Boucher will not pick up ownership. That lineup, considering Chris Boucher won't be owned tonight, I think that lineup is good if you're playing in a contest that has 1,000 or less people. Maybe 500 or less. But, like, everybody else in that lineup is going to be coming in with some pretty big ownership. Schroeder's lower owned. Maybe I'm being too harsh now that I actually look at it more often, because I'm thinking about it as those are all good plays. But let's back it up, Sal. Boucher is going to be low owned, and so is Dennis Schroeder today. Capella and Giannis will be picking up ownership, but not a ton. That's not going to win you the $100,000 first unless Boucher comes in at 1%, which I don't think so. I think Boucher will still push 6 to 8%. But if you're playing that in something with 1,000 people, that's a good lineup. Yeah, single entry 3 max, that's a good lineup. If you're trying to play just that lineup in your $100,000 first, you probably have to get different in one other spot, which might be as simple as moving from Capella to like Porzingis, something like that, right? Capella to Gordon Hayward. Doesn't feel great, but something along those lines, like just a horizontal shift in the price point at that position. Only 36 likes. Show my guy Sal some love. Yeah. We got 300 people watching live right now. Yo, hit the like, hit the subscribe to those things. If you want to get one of these very comfortable hoodies, the fellas hoodies. We got other hoodies as well. Check out the merch store down below. A lot of people, I rarely, I would say like once a month, I plug the merch store. But we do have a merch store. So if you want to check it out, I usually see people just stumbling upon it from, I guess, looking at the YouTube description, which people do. There's some stuff down there. Thoughts on Rashawn Holmes tonight? Too many other centers that I like. Who benefits the most if Sabonis is out? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different things. Miles Turner benefits a ton. Malcolm Brogdon and LeVert obviously benefit a ton. More minutes for guys like Dougie McDermott off the bench, although I'm not going to get too much. So I'd probably go Miles Turner, Brogdon, and LeVert in that order for me. Boucher and Siakam, same lineup. That's okay with me. Thoughts on Gobert? Too many other centers. A 121.5 team implied total for the Bucks tonight. Why are you so low on Holiday? He's just priced too high. I mean, the team total does not just affect, like, the team total is like 5% of the projection, right? So that is literally 5% of the projection. So that's already factored in. Like, he's $7,500. Him having like 2 good games in a row with Giannis struggling in those games does not make Drew Holiday now a $7,500 player. Like, the last couple of games, he's projecting out as if he's Jimmy Butler, right? Like, his point per minute production this last week and a half is like he's Jimmy Butler. I don't think anybody here thinks that Drew Holiday just became Jimmy Butler in this offense with Giannis and Chris Middleton. Just like over a week. Like, he got hurt and he came back and he's Jimmy Butler. No, he's just playing really well right now. It's just like Donovan Mitchell won't average 1.55 fantasy points per minute the rest of the year, right? They get it hot for a week or two. They keep getting the rock. You get heat checks. And now his price point's where it should be. I mean, for me right now, Drew Holiday should be a $7,000 player. Even then, I really wouldn't have much interest. Now he's $7,500. I can't go there. Hammering the Padres for baseball tonight. Let's see. I want to see what the updated run implied totals are. Would love to get projection ownership on projections. Maybe I'm missing it, but having trouble getting different. Yeah, no, I don't have ownership projections for NBA is the only sport. I was actually looking at them. Probably it's going to be just so much. I'm like trying to build them on my own right now, but there's a chance. I have to call up Sports Data IQ, try and get them to not charge $4,000 a month for it, which is just pretty crazy. Do you like Burks? 24 in Prize Picks. I'll only take the over if RJ Barrett's out, or only consider it if RJ Barrett's out. Right now, I don't like it. I've had the Patreon for a month and it kills. The optimizer is gold. Got to get into the Discord. Haven't done that yet. Yeah, Andrew, get into the Discord for sure. Signed up yesterday. The tools and optimizer are simple and used to understand. I love to hear that. Love to hear that. Any worry about that Bogdanovich played so many minutes last night? No. Sal, what settings do you use for creating a GPP lineup? It's different every single night. So the biggest thing is going to be being sure to take advantage of this. Like the power of this optimizer. Whoops. The power of this optimizer is this section right here. Putting in groups, right? Putting in groups for guys that you, at most a certain amount of guys, right? So we did it with Alexander Walker. Things along those lines. So like the obvious ones are guys like this, right? Like Jackson Hayes and Steven Adams, centers that cut into each other's minutes. You want to set a rule to get at most one of these guys. You don't want them both in the same lineup. Your lineups might actually do that towards some of the lower projected lineups. So that's important. Outside of that, setting 2 to 3 uniques. So setting 2 to 3 uniques on most slates. If it's like a 3-game slate, you can set 1 unique. But setting 2 to 3 uniques right here. You can set as many as you want max from a team. I'm going to set 3 tonight to try and limit the amount of New Orleans guys I get from a team. You can set it to 2. Randomness is, you play around with it, general randomness. I don't touch exposures. Ownership will be pretty powerful once we get ownership. But randomness, yeah. I have a 38% for this build. Somewhere in the 20s to 30s is typically okay, depending on the slate. Thoughts on Bledsoe Lewis? So he gave the whole motherfucking lineup this man. In a small field. How small is the field? Because that is a very, 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 very chalky lineup. That is a cash lineup, man, Ryan. And I know I said that earlier and then came back on it, but all those guys are going to be in like the top 10 to 15 in ownership. So, I mean, if the small field means 200 people or less, it's good. 500 people or less, probably get different in one spot. When I go into Discord, there is no one ever there. I may be doing something wrong. I think you are doing something wrong, my man. You have to link your Discord account. I'll pull it up on the screen right now. Maybe some other people are having trouble with this, but this is the Discord. We got a lot of people talking. I mean, in the Prize Picks chat today, there's been a couple hundred texts at least alone. We got all these other channels right here, right? So people are talking right now as recent as 12 minutes ago in the Prize Picks chat, as recent as somebody joining 12 minutes ago, as recent as 2 minutes ago in the NBA or the golf chat, and as recent as 5 minutes ago in the NBA or 9 minutes ago in the NBA chat. So all the chats have been popping off within the last 10 minutes, but this chat right here. So when you're in there, go into Sync Patreon Help. This is for other people too if you're looking into Discord. And just follow these videos and these links, and it will help you and show you how to sync in your Patreon settings. It'll basically show you where it is. You click a button that says, oh, yeah, sync my Patreon access with this Discord access. What that basically does, it then shows Discord that you are a member of my Patreon, and it lets you in. So be sure to try all that out. Thoughts on Brunson today? Not interested. Siakam or Hayward? Siakam. Just got off of work as well. Ready to dig into the slate. Let's go, Artful. Let's go. MLB still make more money even if you don't like it. MLB still makes more. Yeah, because they play 162 games and they keep all their money. They're a business that is not worried about growing. They're a business that is worried about making the quick buck in the next 10 years, but not still being around in 15 to 20 years, because kids who are 15 right now don't know what the MLB is. Kids who are 10 don't give a shit about ever looking up the MLB. Why? Because they never see it, because their highlights are not allowed to be posted by their own athletes or anybody online. So you don't get to see their highlights. They only license their highlights out to like ESPN and Fox Sports and these TV stations that, you know where they're going? There's not going to be TV in 10 years. So they're going down the gutter. Now I assume they'll get a younger person in charge, like Rob Manfred, like taking today out of Atlanta, taking the sport out of Atlanta for the All-Star game because of some like crossing over into politics, which is just so weird. Yeah, I mean, once you get some like 80-year-old men not in charge of baseball, yeah, maybe you'll start to actually see some innovation in the sport, because boys are brutal. Like they literally spread the media when Bryce Harper was coming up and trying to make baseball fun again. The media narrative was like, oh, this isn't the traditional way. You think that started from ESPN? No, it started up top from baseball. Like, let's put a stop to this. And that has been proven from articles since and some little investigations, if you will. Pretty terrible of a sport. Yeah. So they make a lot of money right now because the overwhelming amount of games, which I do think is going to be reduced, and then also from just the fact that they don't spend their money. So not spending your money to grow is scary. Alrighty. Brogdon or Schroeder? I'll go Schroeder. Thanks for all the content. No problem, man. Let's get it, fellas. Let's get it. Thoughts on Rashawn Holmes? Not there. Kuzma or Hayward on Superdraft? Hayward by far. Bullish on Boucher at low ownership? Yes, I am. Alrighty, gang. I'm going to bounce. I have to use the restroom. I'm going to chill out, relax, max, all cool. Be sure, before you go, like, subscribe. I know everybody watching this, all 300 of you, are not subscribed, so be sure to take 2 seconds of your time. Hit that subscribe button. And then also, check out Patreon. It's linked right now into the chat. It's linked down below. You can join into that community. And if you want to, be sure to check out the sponsor of the program, Superdraft. Use the code SAL. Try and win some free vacations. Both of their contests, including the MLB one, which starts in a little bit over an hour. They were in the 30 percentages in terms of filling last we checked. I'm going to have to enter some MLB lineups. The MLB contest currently as we stand, it locks in about an hour and 10 minutes, and it is currently only filling at 33%. It locks in an hour and 10 minutes. My guess is that this thing only fills at like 65, 70%, which is pretty fucking nuts for $2,000 Rooskies. Pretty good chunk of change. Alrighty, check it out. Linked down below. You all rock. I'll be back tomorrow morning with a video for all of you. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming tomorrow though. But back tomorrow morning. Check it all out. We have just massive slates. There's no small NBA. There's nothing below like a 6 or a 7 game slate for like 2 or 3 weeks in the NBA. Just give me 1 3 or 4 game slate to act as like a day off. Thanks for everything, man. Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, bro. Get body. Peace out, everybody. See you in the next one. Support the sponsors, support the channel, support everything we got going on here so we can keep doing this. Keep doing this in the middle of the summer. Having a good time. We're having a good time. Hope you are too. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out, gang.